Hey guys, it's Christian, Vancouver realtor, and for today's video I want to talk to you about a foreclosure that I'm working on right now on behalf of my buyer clients. And it's an interesting one. This is one where the strata is foreclosing on the owner because the owner has stopped paying their maintenance fees. And the strata actually ranks above the lender in terms of priority status and initiating a foreclosure. And so in this instance, I can see based on the title search, there have been a number of liens placed on the property, and that is simply the owner is not paying their strata fees. And of course, the strata contacts lawyers and then asks the lawyers, look, can we foreclose on the owner? Now, they do need to show that they have exhausted all the means possible to try and recoup this money prior to going to court. But once they can show that, they can then ask for what's called a conduct of sale. And then of course, the ownership is, at that point, they literally will change the locks while the owner is away and they can then have access to the unit and show it to prospective buyers. Now, they also have to do a few things to get ready. In this instance, like the guy was a hoarder and there was just so much junk in the apartment, so they had to clean all of that out and even rip off some of the drywall because there was a rodent infestation. So you can tell I'm not describing a very pretty picture, and most foreclosures aren't. You know, the seller has maybe lost their job, which I believe is the case here, just based on what I can see on the title search, but I won't get into more detail than that. And they stop paying their bills, and you know, they'll have maybe 6 months, a year, 2 years, and then at that point, the jig is up. And the party that is owed money will come and get it. Now, when in this case, what's happened is there's the home is now being sold as a foreclosure, and the seller's agent will continuously show the property. Now, a lot of people will watch these US TV shows and think you can buy a slamming hot deal, renovate it, and make tons of money through foreclosure. Not so much in BC. I don't know about the US, but in BC, often what I've noticed is if the fair market value of the property is $800,000, the lawyers on behalf of the lender or the strata will list it much higher than that. They'll list it at $900, they'll list it at $800, then drop the price to $850, maybe reduce it to $800. There seems to be a step down approach in the selling process. They are not in a hurry to sell it. And one of the reasons why is they have a mandate to get the best possible price. And the court here acts kind of like a referee. They have to ensure that the best possible price is garnered. And the reason for that is once the strata is paid out, once the lender is paid out, the rest of that money still has to go back to that owner. So you can't undercut him with a low, cheap sales price. So those are some of the things you have to understand. Now, the other thing is the condition of these properties sometimes is reasonably good, and I'll give you an example of that in a moment. But in this instance, it's pretty bad. I mean, this home is really beat up. I mean, I mentioned that you know, there would have been mice or some kind of rodents. It just needs a full renovation, all new appliances. Everything and anything you can imagine this property needs, it needs. It probably needs over $100,000 in renovations. And the interesting thing about renos is once you've started them, you may have had the experience where your contractor comes back and says to you, oh, we discovered that the pipes are leaking. Well, you'll have to replace them, and that'll cost you another $4,000. And so you get these surprises along the way that can add up and cost a lot of money. So I would say to you that that's not always the easiest for people to budget for. Now, the other thing with foreclosures is the actual buying process. So let's say the property's been on the market for 3 weeks, an offer comes in, the sellers accept that offer. That is called the trigger bid. It triggers a court date. Normally it's about 3 weeks later. Pre-corona, you would literally go to the courthouse in New Westminster and you'd sit there in court I was there with my client, and then you'd have other realtors with their clients. And, you know, it's a very quick, unemotional process. The judge, and what you would do is you would make your offer, and there are no conditions with an offer, right? In a regular resale, you're putting a condition to financing, a condition to the strata documents. You're not doing any of that with a court-ordered sale. Court will not accept or look at any offers that have even one sentence worth of conditions or terms in it. So none of that. That section is blank. You are buying as is, where is, and you really have to be steely and ready for that, because I find when people go through that process, they have lots of questions, and they're like, well, what if this isn't working? What if that's broken? What if there's a leak in the walls? Too bad. You are buying it as is, where is. And so then back to the actual, it's not an auction where they, 600, 650, 800. It's not that done that way. The sealed bids are received by the judge. In the instance where we were at the courthouse several years ago, prior to the pandemic, the judge would open the sealed bid, look at the offer amount, next, do it one more time, and then he reads out the winning party. Done. The gavel strikes, and they move to the next case. And I remember when we were there, there was a party to my right, and he, the guy stood up, and he wanted, through his realtor, he wanted to improve his offer. Done already, because my client, we had won the foreclosure. My client got the property, and so that's it, and it's over. So it moves fairly quick. And again, when it comes to the actual process, that nothing is warranted, nothing is guaranteed by the court. With a regular resale, if the fridge isn't working or the dryer's broken, you can take that seller to small claims court. You can't take the court to court. It's done. Today, that process is different. It's done online, and you would submit your offer 2 to 3 days before the court date, and you would log on, presumably through Zoom or some interactive media, and you would just watch the judge read out the winner. Now, I did mention earlier that there is an example of a foreclosure in Metrotown now, and this is where I'm actually surprised. The home is in really good condition. I mean, the unit's only about 5 years old. It's a nice building, it's air conditioned, and it's a great location. I can tell on the title that the owners have simply failed to make the mortgage payments because it's the lender, a big bank, that's foreclosing on them. And there's a couple of instances of damage in the property. I think one of the closet doors is out of hinge, and then there's some flooring that looks like it had water damage. But aside from that, the property's in great shape. And I took a family out, and they a couple of them really loved it. And normally that type of property should sell for about $800,000. Right now the trigger bid is sitting at $740,000. And remember, that's public knowledge, because the trigger bid is always disclosed openly to everybody who will make an offer at the court or on the court date. So if for someone out there who is intrepid or wanting to take one of these on, feel free to contact me or contact your agent, because there's a fairly good property on the market. I do expect it will sell for more than that, though, because it's just too good at where it is right now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.